I think that if you're exercising your will, again, going back to that, I think you might have the opportunity to alleviate suffering. And this can be helpful for yourself, but also it can be helpful to others. You know, other people that maybe can benefit from that. And because we're not alone, we are helping each other. And so the magician can also be helped by another person who is practicing their art form. I'm calling magic as a kind of an art form. So a lot of times this is what magic involves, really. And if you're exercising your will, if you're exercising your inclination, following your inclinations, and these are all positive, they should be positive, but a positive endeavor is going to be a benefit to other people.
Can you clap your hands for me?
Can I do that? Oh, clap?
So you were saying understanding and references.
Yeah, because you know, like if you say something and it means it will suggest something else to somebody, and you have to really understand the context of when you're saying something. You have to, like, what is the context of what I'm saying now, for instance? Like, how is that understood? You know, and that is really more important than if I just like look at something and then maybe interpret it directly. You know, then it kind of gives somebody. It might communicate a different meaning than what actually should be understood. So that comes with just really knowing that, well, like, you know, as we were saying, you don't have to say everything. You don't have to, everything is not so vitally important to recite, because then maybe you're not really truly understanding the meaning of something if you so directly interpret it. Maybe you've kind of taken it out of context by saying, well, red is really red. And blue can always be blue, but maybe red and blue mean something different for the person that you're talking to. Well, again, I'm going to go back to that word context. With any language, whether it's spoken or written, the context that the words are spoken or written actually give the meaning of what the words mean. And so if you're missing the context somehow, then you're not going to have you're just going to have maybe a kind of a dictionary type view of the word. You're not going to have the actual context, the meaning of what it is at that moment, which is very unique, because each moment is unique. So that's very important, I think. If you don't have the sense of the context, you're not even going to have the right words. You're not going to select the word that conveys the idea that you somehow want to extend or communicate to someone. I felt that a mask is a form of projection. Like, if you put a mask on, it's not necessarily hiding your identity. It might be a projection of who you are. And so the mask then is a form of communication. And that's what I tell people, like when I used to have, like on my Facebook page, I used to have a picture of myself wearing a mask. And so one person said, well, why are you wearing a mask? Like, I'm hiding something. And I said, well, no, it's really a projection. Just like a t-shirt. A t-shirt, when we wear t-shirts, we'll have something in the t-shirt that projects and says something. It has a message. And so a mask also, in the way that I'm thinking of it, is a way to project. It's a way to communicate, to say something about ourselves. And so it is not necessarily something that hides. It can be a form of protection, but it is not necessarily something that represents removal. They first began as just pieces to carve. And then I carve them, and maybe you hang them on the wall, or you do something with them that way. But then I started to use them in performance, and I started to do collaborations with performers. And then the mask became different. The mask became something that had to be more practical, first of all. It had to be light enough for the performer to wear. And also so they could wear it in a way that they weren't too conscious of that they're wearing a mask. There had to be a certain freedom that was allowed in the use of the mask. So that was something that I learned then, in other words, from making a mask that is to be hung and looked at to a mask that actually is made for movement, for communication. So then there's varieties then of materials that I would use. Some of them lighter, some of them very sturdy and strong. Some of them, they all had to be comfortable for somebody to wear. And then like if you're a horn player, like if you're a saxophonist, then you don't want a mask that's going to destroy your reed or make it difficult for you to play. Actually, it's convenient for us to focus or to localize or put a handle on things. That's a convenience, and that helps us to understand and manipulate what this experience is. But in itself, it is not really necessarily a lasting way of looking at it.